Good morning, YouTube. It is Monday, March 25th, 9:35 a.m. April is right around the corner. If you guys are watching this on YouTube, you can check these out live every morning, playback.tv/slightly biased, 9 a.m. Central Standard Time, or thereabouts. If you're watching this on playback.tv/slightly biased, you can check these out every morning on the Slightly Biased Clips channel. Today, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not entirely sure what we're going to get into. For those asking, no, I have not watched the Jimmy High Roller Luka Doncic MVP propaganda video quite yet. I'll watch it though. I hear it's good for the agenda. That's great. I plan on dropping my own Luka MVP video as well. It's difficult to find the right time, especially when you're connected to the team, because it's like I kind of want to wait until the Kings games. Like that's going to completely and totally decide everything for the Mavericks. Those two Kings games, it's going to decide the entire season. Okay. So I kind of want to wait until then, although I feel pretty confident in the Mavs' chances of winning those games, just being honest with you. So anyways, no, I don't have a lot of Mavs talk today. They haven't played in 4 days. They play again today, so I don't have a lot to talk about as far as the Mavs go. I do have a quick little announcement. Tuesday, March 26th, tomorrow, as of the time we're talking right now, at noon, I'm going to go on Ben and Skin's radio show. I'm going to be on the Ben and Skin show tomorrow morning. Skin's out of town. So going to hop on, go to the studio. That's on 97.1 The Freak. I think you can listen to it online. In fact, I'm pretty sure you can listen to it online. And I think you can listen to it back afterwards. So that'll be a good amount of fun. I'm excited about that. It'll be like 20 minutes. But, hey, my radio debut. And I'm excited to go up to the studio and stuff and do it. So, yeah, that's happening tomorrow. Hopefully the Mavericks win. What time and station? It will be at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time, 97.1 The Freak. 97.1 The Freak. So here we go. He also said that he's facing voter fatigue without even winning MVP. I had a viral tweet that said that. I think people get that narrative from me. You know, I think people get that narrative from me. I had a viral tweet that said that exact same thing. All right, anyways. Let's get into some talk. There's some NBA stuff. I do want to start talking about college basketball, okay? Because March Madness is happening, and that's pretty much what I've been watching. And I want to talk about college basketball with a NBA slant because, you know, I don't watch college basketball, and I don't want to pretend. I don't want to come on here and act as if I do, and I know what these teams are up to. What I do know is, one, my fucking bracket is terrible. It's one of the absolute worst brackets I've ever concocted. I've already lost half of my Elite Eight teams. Not that any of you really care at all. So that's great. I feel like a dumbass. I have UConn losing in the Sweet 16. They're not going to. They're steamrolling every single team. They're steamrolling every single team that they're playing in a way that's just absolutely insane. Somebody had a Twitter thread of all of like their set plays that they were running. Good Lord. I mean, they're just executing at a level that's not even remotely close to anybody else in this tournament, it feels like. So shout out to them. They're incredible. I'm not going to lie to you. I've been a little, this tournament's just kind of been a little to me. Am I wrong in thinking that? Those of you who have been watching, there's been a couple good games here and there. There haven't been too many crazy upsets or anything like that. There have been a few upsets here or there, but nothing like insane. You usually get like one insane upset. Every 1 seed's in the Sweet 16, every 2 seeds in the Sweet 16. That's kind of rare. And there haven't been there's been a couple good games. Yesterday felt like there weren't many. The Colorado Marquette game was pretty good. And then you had the A&M Houston game, which had an insane shot to send it to overtime, a buzzer beater 3 to send it to overtime. That game fucking sucked. And I'm here to stand on business, okay? I tweeted out that the ending of that game was terrible right before the buzzer beater. I'm standing on business. That shit was awful. I'm sorry. From a viewer's perspective, that was not enjoyable at all. It was the final, somebody broke it down on Twitter. The final minute and 15 of regulation took, I think, something close to 20 minutes of real time. Every single stoppage, there was a review. There was a stoppage after every single possession late in the game, it felt like. A&M was playing the intentional foul game. One, I actually kind of respect this. I don't get why teams don't do this. They were playing the intentional foul game with like 2 minutes left. They just went to intentional fouling with 2 minutes left. I don't quite understand why teams don't intentionally foul sooner. I have always wondered that. Like, why wait until there's 30 or 40 seconds left? And now you're really up against it where your best chance of winning is probably intentionally fouling and praying for missed free throws. So I give some props there. That's a smart decision, but it sucks for a viewer, and that's what I'm standing on. It sucked from a viewer's perspective, and the officiating was fucking terrible. Like, that was some of the worst officiating I've ever seen. Houston had like 4 starters foul out of the game. That was awful. I'm sorry. That was awful. I know it was a crazy shot that sent it to overtime, but damn, it was awful. And then I'm wondering, okay, overtime starts, 5-minute period in overtime. Each team has 1 timeout. There are way fewer stoppages. Way fewer stoppages. I'm thinking, why can't this be, like, the game flowed much better in overtime? Why can't they just do this at the end? In college, each half, so there's 2 halves in college basketball if you don't know, each team gets 4 timeouts a half, okay? You're guaranteed to have 4 timeouts a half. There are 4 guaranteed media stoppages. 4 guaranteed media stoppages in a 20-minute half. Each team uses all 4 timeouts. There's destined to be a few reviews. The game slows down to such a slow pace late in the game. Such an unbelievably slow pace. And man, it's just, sometimes it is just really, really, really hard to watch. Yeah, they were fouling. They subbed in guys who shot like 1 free throw the entire season or whatever the fuck it was to try and ice the game at the free throw line. I mean, it was crazy. I mean, it was, Houston's got some dogs. And A&M had this guy, Wade Taylor, 5 of 26 from the field. 5 of 26. He did hit some pretty cold-blooded threes, but man, he was awful. I mean, there's no two ways around it. He was absolutely terrible in that game. But God bless him. I just mainly wanted to point out that game because, I'm sorry, that was not an enjoyable viewing experience. In my opinion, it just was not. That very much was. Every shot he shot was like the Denzel Valentine shot. Pretty much every single one. But I'm sorry. I just it circles it back to, because whenever people are like, and I feel this way where it's like, I don't really enjoy the college basketball viewing experience that much because of moments like that. And a popular retort to that is like, oh, well, you don't actually like basketball then because you're not an actual basketball fan. No, that's not true. Okay. I fucking love FIBA. I've said this before a million times. I think FIBA is a better viewing experience than the NBA. I actually do believe that. Is FIBA better than the NBA? Obviously not. No. But when you watch those international competitions and stuff, it is insanely enjoyable. It is incredible. It feels like the most pure version of basketball imaginable. The ending of college basketball games is so incredibly difficult to watch at times. It just is. There's so many I'm just, from a pure consumer standpoint, there's way too many stoppages. Way too many. It's out of control. It slows the game down so much to a point where you're just like, what's even happening? So anyways, I like it. Honestly, my time with college basketball is probably done. I'm usually a first weekend guy, and then the moment my bracket's busted, which it currently is, I'm pretty much out. I'll check around. I'll watch here and there. If a game's good, I'll tune in. But I don't really have an emotional attachment to too many of these teams now. I saw that there was 10 million. The average viewer was like 10 million people. Like, their ratings are way up. What happened to Tech? They just weren't good. They weren't good. And North Carolina State. Woo, that big guy. He didn't even really play that well against Tech. But what's his name? DJ Burns. DJ Burns. He's a dog. That guy should be the player of the tournament. That should be the guy everyone rallies behind. North Carolina State is the only double-digit seed in the Sweet 16. Like, that's actually kind of nuts. Usually it does not play out like that. One double-digit seed in the Sweet 16. And it's North Carolina State. You know, it's not like it's some shit team from a small school that everyone's like rallying behind. Seems like you need a dog at center in college basketball. I'm very happy you said that because now it is time to segue into this. This is a question that pops up all the time, right? Who is the worst current NBA player that could lead the worst team in the NCAA tournament to a national championship? So this question gets brought up pretty much every single March Madness. The answer to this question is way higher than what the replies think. It's like, no doubt, all-star quality player, not an NBA role player. Connecticut beat Stetson by like 40, so you need someone to make up 40 points. That's a ton. And I actually agree. It wouldn't be Moses Brown or Kevon Looney. It just wouldn't be. It would have to be somebody much more talented than that. But would it have to be a no doubt all-star quality player? Immediately I say no. Because the guy I would say, no, not Daniel Gafford either. The guy who I would say is a player who did not make the All-Star game this year, but I honest to God do feel as if he would lead a 16 seed into a tournament run, is Sabonis. Now, should Sabonis have made the All-Star game? Probably, right? But I think putting this current version of Domantas Sabonis on a college team, absolutely, they are absolutely beating a 1 seed. Put him on a 16 seed, they are absolutely beating a 1 seed. Without a shadow of a doubt. Without a shadow of a doubt, they are beating a 1 seed. Because think about this. I kept seeing, I was reading some of the replies and arguments here. Think about, so let's just think about the worst NBA team. Okay, because again, I don't watch a lot of college basketball. Let's think about the worst NBA team. The players on the team are still talented. They're still good. The problem is that they're just lacking top-end talent. And I think that's pretty much true for college basketball as well. You make it to the tournament, you're a Division I school, you've got good basketball players on your team. It's not like you've got a bunch of scrubs out there. They're all basketball players, but you just don't have that top-end, talent. You add that guy to the equation, and now everything's different. Sabonis most certainly puts you over the edge. I think you put Sabonis on Stetson, they beat UConn. Yes, I believe that, for sure. Now, I was thinking, too, how much would a guard actually affect things? Because the idea is, I know Sabonis is not a good defensive center in the NBA. I think he'd be one of the best defensive centers in college basketball immediately. Right? Could a guard do it? Could a guard do it? Like, a guard would pop off offensively, for sure, without a shadow of a doubt. But I feel like defensively, you need whoever you pick up to absolutely entirely change the game. Wemby is another one. I do think Wemby would absolutely lead a 16 seed to beat a 1 seed. I think Giannis would probably lead us. I mean, Giannis, yes. Giannis is a top 3 player in the world. We're trying to think of the worst players who could. Wemby, definitely. Now I'm trying to think of other centers. How many problems would, like, Yusuf Nurkic give a college basketball team? A center who can pass, who could theoretically stretch the floor a tiny bit, enough for defenses to have to worry about it. What about, like, Jonas Valanciunas? Like, I'm trying to think about it like this. What about Valanciunas? You would need, like, what about Gobert? Gobert would absolutely change the game defensively. Absolutely change the game defensively. Would he be good enough offensively for a 16 seed to beat a 1 seed? A 7-footer with some skill is practically unguardable by 90% of college teams. I would say 100%. I would say 100% of college teams. I do not think college teams are equipped. We're talking like NBA skilled bigs. Because think about it like this. Even the skilled bigs who come out of college, those guys aren't good right away in the NBA usually. Those are players that kind of take a tiny bit to fit in. I There's a high percent of teams, tallest players 16 or under. Yeah, like a real big cat would be an interesting one too. Yeah, Gobert with no defensive 3 seconds would be nuts. Like the other team would be shooting threes the entire game. There would be nothing inside. You already see it with UConn. What's the guy's name on UConn? The center that they have. Klingon, is that his name? They're big. He had 10 blocks. He completely changes the fucking game. Like there's just nothing you can do. When is Edey projected to go in the draft? Some places have him as a... They'll just pull Gobert at the paint. No, they won't. The court is smaller in college basketball, so the spacing is worse. And beyond that, there's no way. Like college teams aren't putting 5 guys on the floor who can consistently shoot threes to the point where you have to pull Gobert at the paint. And unless I'm wrong, I don't think there's a college team in the country that would be like, all right, we're pulling Gobert out the paint. Like we can't park Gobert in the paint because there's too much shooting. What would Boban do? Boban, I don't think it is quick enough. You need somebody who's absolutely going to wreck the game from an athletic perspective, where there's just no chance. There's just no chance the other team has anybody to stick them. So do we think Gobert would lead a 16 seed to upset a 1? I actually think so. I actually do. Like current Gobert. I think so. I think Sabonis without a shadow of a doubt. Walker Kessler, no. I don't think Walker Kessler. KP, I'm also trying to think about it from players who don't really need to be set up. Like, I don't need to rely on my point guard who might turn the ball over 8 times. Current Jalen Duren would be actually kind of crazy. But, okay, Jordan Clarkson. Jordan Clarkson would pop off. I'm not entirely sure guard changes the equation that much. I'm just really not. I don't. I feel like you can put the vast majority of role players on a 16 seed and they would take over. See, I disagree with that. Like, does Royce O'Neal carry a 16 seed to beat a 1 seed? No, he doesn't. He'd be the best player on the court, but he's not shifting the dynamic of a game like that. Kuzma's interesting. But I think what I was coming back to is you need somebody who would absolutely wreck the game defensively. Herb, it's difficult from a wing. Could a wing wreck a game defensively quite like that? Because I feel like if you're a wing or a guard, you have to be pretty fucking good offensively too. And like all of these guys would be pretty good offensively in the college game. What about like Jonathan Isaac? Would he wreck a game enough defensively? No, there's no team would have an answer for Kuminga in terms of like his athleticism. Pretty much no teams in the NBA have an answer for his athleticism. So, like, who's the worst center? I think Nurkic would wreck a college game. I actually do. No, not Dwight Powell. No, not Jackson Hayes. Şengün would definitely... There would be no answers for Şengün offensively. Ayton would definitely fuck some stuff up in a college game for sure. Oh, yeah. Brook Lopez is a great one. I actually think put Brook Lopez on Stetson, I think they win. That's a really good one. Going to absolutely break the game defensively, and offensively, they would have no answer for him either. Christian Wood, don't think he wrecks the game defensively enough. Claxton's kind of interesting. I left it thinking, I don't think a guard makes up. So in this scenario, it's Stetson lost by 40 points. So you'd have to make that up. I don't think a guard is doing that. I just don't. I don't think a guard is doing that. A guard that can rain threes would be tough, but I think there is some. See, I disagree with this. Stetson plus Jokic probably still loses. There's no way. Absolutely no way that's true. I disagree with this. For the gravity of like Klay Thompson be a huge difference. One thing you have to keep in mind too is that an NBA player has been playing in the NBA for years against the absolute best competition in the world with the best training, the best coaching in the world. This would literally be like playing against little kids. Yeah, I'm sorry. People who think Jokic wouldn't do it are wrong. He would, absolutely. Because you got, again, like I said, everyone's like, oh, well, every other player is worse. Okay, that might be true. But one, Jokic won NBA games when every other player on his team was worse than the other team. But also, two, it's not like these players are trash. Like, they're on a Division I college team that was good enough to win their conference or whatever and make the tournament. So it's not as if there's some trash team. Who was the team that was it McNeese played? Mississippi University of Women or something like that? The men's team at the University of Mississippi Women's College. So Jokic would definitely do it. I'm sorry. Victor Wembanyama is 1,000. Can you imagine Victor Wembanyama in this tournament? I'm sorry. Victor Wembanyama is easily doing it as well. Are you fucking joking? He'd have 25 blocks. He would be able. The court in the NBA in college basketball is smaller. It's a little bit shrunk. He would be able to block almost every single shot. It would be absolutely nuts. There would be nothing you could do against Victor Wembanyama. He would 1,000% wreck a college game. You know what? Put beyond this thought exercise, because I think Victor Wembanyama 1,000%. Put Victor Wembanyama on the University of Mississippi for women, men's team. Yeah, I think he might. I think he might carry them. Honestly, no, I agree. Clint Capella couldn't do it. It'd have to be an off. That's why I'm iffy on Gobert, but I think Gobert would wreck the game enough defensively that it would completely change the complexion of the game. But Stetson lost by 40 points. That's a lot of ground to make up offensively. So it would need to be somebody with some offensive juice. And they'd have to be a decent enough playmaker too, because they would get doubled immediately. So it'd have to be somebody who could pass out of doubles. Like, I'm sorry, if you don't think that like Embiid, like, I'm sorry. This is actually a decent point. Tim Duncan didn't win at Wake and was 5th in MVP voting the following year. That's not a terrible point, actually. That's actually a pretty good counter. I gotta be real. However, I would say don't sleep on a summer and a full season with an NBA franchise and what that can do for your game. Look at Derek Lively. Derek Lively was like a borderline lottery pick. Duke at the college game was probably, I mean, from a college level, Filipowski is better than him, right? just in terms of the college game. And Derek Lively is going to make an all rookie first team this year. And has been incredible. So don't sleep on like what getting with an NBA franchise can do for you. So anyways, that was my college basketball talk. I've enjoyed it. It hasn't been as fun as years past. I have seen some of the women's tournament and the Baylor, or somebody mentioned earlier, the Iowa State Stanford game was incredible. I mean, that was insane. That was one of the best college basketball, or not just college basketball games. That was one of the best basketball games I've seen in quite some time. Like that was incredibly fun to watch. Oh, I always love these. I actually don't have much to talk about today. Like, oh, do we talk about the Warriors might be done for the 20th fucking time? Like, yes, we know they might be done. They don't have this feeling of inevitability that they once did. You at no point in games anymore with the Warriors feel like they're going to take over and beat you. You just don't feel that. They're just not that good anymore. I don't know what to say. They're just done. That's it. They're one game ahead of the Rockets. And they play the Rockets semi-soon, don't they? April 4th. This game should be flexed. It's funny because ESPN or Warriors have so many nationally televised games. And it's like, oh, against the Spurs, okay. Against the Lakers, classic, right? That could be an important game, though, to be fair. This game needs to be flexed to national television. This game needs to be flexed to national television. This team's just not scary anymore. They're just not. That's it. There's nothing more to it. They're old. They're not who they once were. That's fine. Their first championship was 9 years ago. Like, think about that. There's probably people in this chat who are like 5 or 6 years old. Well, it's possible. 5, 6, 7 years old when that happened, and they grew up with the Warriors dynasty. Everything comes to an end, and it's usually unceremonious. 28? No, you fucking idiot. I was in college, though. What else happened yesterday? Cavaliers are 3-7 in their last 10. Got absolutely annihilated. Darius Garland might be my most disappointing player of the season. Like, if I were to sit down and think about players who I really, really liked, LaMelo, injuries, a little bit different. It could have possibly been Cade, but he's really turned it around and has, honest to God, had a pretty good season, I think. I think Darius Garland might be my most disappointing player of the season, honestly. I know he's dealt with injuries for most of the year, but man, I thought like peak Darius Garland could lead the league in assists. Could kind of be what Tyrese Halliburton started to be at the start of this year. Maybe like a guy who could be a sneaky MVP candidate given the right circumstances. But it's just it really doesn't feel good. And I'm a little bit upset by it. So much so, I've seen Cavs fans who are like, do we fucking trade Darius Garland in the offseason? Like, what is going on? Sad. Thunder get blown out. Great win by the Bucks. I did watch this game. That's some of the best defense anyone's ever played on the Thunder this season. They had absolutely no answer. And I doubt this would be a finals matchup. If it were, I'd pick the Bucks in 4 because it's a terrible matchup for the Thunder. And Chet, in a matchup like this, Giannis is this big athletic freak, right? Brook Lopez is a big, imposing guy as well. Bobby Portis is a very physical player. It's not a good matchup for Chet at all. Like, he's a 1 of 10. Wow, I knew Chet had a bad game. I didn't know it was that bad. Yeah, the Lakers are very similar. Like, it's just not really fair to Chet. I'm not saying this to poo-poo Chet. It's not fair to him. They need a bigger player alongside him. It's not really what he's supposed to be. You know. And Shea was pretty bad in this game too. So the Bucks just dominated this game. Chris Middleton got a triple double. Did you guys see that funny clip? Did you guys see that funny clip of Chris Middleton was getting mad at Doc Rivers because he was about to get subbed out, 1 point away from a triple double? And then the Lakers Pacers game, my God, man, what was the free throw disparity in this one? 43 free throws to 16. I mean, there's definitely something there. I'm sorry. Lakers fans will try to skirt it any way possible. They have like 400 more free throws than the next closest team. It's kind of insane. 200 more free throws than the Bucks. Yeah, there you go. It's nuts. I'm sorry. The game feels a little different officiating wise. It just does. And I'm somebody who's always thought that LeBron's whistle's maybe not that good. But everyone else on the team, bit of a Lakers tax. Yeah. Another tough Tyrese Halliburton game. He did hit some threes at the end that kind of made it a little bit more interesting, but the game was pretty much over for all intents and purposes. Siakam was incredible. I don't know, man. This Pacers team there's just something weird. Are we 100% sure Siakam's staying there? Halliburton just can't be this bad. That's just it. That's just the bottom line. Here it is. The Lakers have a plus 420 free throw differential. Second place is Bucks at 222. And last year was the same exact thing. I don't come out of that feeling great about either team's defense. Oh, the Lakers defense sucks. Like, the Lakers defense has been terrible all season long. And even in their little recent stretch where they've won a good amount of games. Yeah, the fact that it's the free throw differential and not just free throws is actually makes this a million times worse. Yeah, no, there was some 3-point fouling and stuff. Some weird. But still, it is every single Lakers game though. As evident by this stat. All right, let's do this. These are always fun. I always enjoy it. Build the team with $15. Immediately, the first thing you always have to do on these, look at the $1 row. De'Aaron Fox. Okay. Got a little turned off by De'Aaron Fox. I'm not going to lie to you. Austin Reeves. Could be an interesting little fallback. Need a role guy. Maxey at the $1 is pretty elite. Julius Randle, Sabonis. Well, I'm starting with Luka. I don't give a fuck. So Luka Doncic is on my team. $5. All right, Wemby's on my team. So $7 right there. So we have Luka and Wemby, $7. I have $8 to flesh out the rest of my team. I need a defensive specialist. I want a guy who's really good defensively. I'm thinking about, oh my God, hold on a second. AD and Wemby. What would that look like as a backcourt, as a front court? AD and Wemby. I already have Wemby for defense. Yeah, but now I'm going super defense. But that feels maybe a little too excessive. So how about Luka, Wemby, Kawhi? That's $10 right there. Need 2 more spots. I'm kind of thinking KD. Reeves, maybe? I don't know. Now that I'm looking at it, I don't love the $1 options. I'm just imagining KD Just the amount of length and size. Maxey would be cool. I was thinking about it. Don't love that defensive backcourt of Luka and Maxey, to be totally honest with you, but I feel like my team's already so good. I thought about Kyrie. Well, you could go. Luka, Booker, Jaylen Brown, Kawhi, Wemby is pretty fucking elite. But I think I want somebody with a little bit more size next to Wemby, which is why I kind of like the idea of KD. Which brings me back to Anthony Davis. That would be kind of good. I think AD and Wemby, you might have some spacing problems. You might have some spacing problems. Luka, Kawhi, Wemby, JB, AD. Luka, Kyrie, Maxey, Zion, Jokic. We're just not playing defense, huh? I mean, we are scoring 100 points, 150 points every game, though. Zion is low-key an insane pickup. He has been on a monster run lately. That's true. Zion, $2. Wait, hold on a second. Okay. Luka, that's totally true. I don't know why I was overlooking Zion. Luka, $5. Wemby, $2. Zion, $2. That's $9 right there. 6 to play with. I'm thinking Kawhi and Book. Luka, Book, Zion, Kawhi, Wemby. Or Jimmy. I do love KD, though. The idea of KD next to Wemby is great. How can we squeeze KD? Okay, Luka, KD, Wemby is $11. So we have $4 to play with. Luka, KD, Wemby. I'm good on size. You could go Zion and Jaylen Brown to close that out. Luka, Jaylen Brown, Zion, KD, Wemby. Or you could go Luka, Kyrie, Zion, KD, Wemby. In theory, because Wemby could space the floor. So in theory, everyone can space the floor besides Zion. Zion, Wemby pick and roll would be nutty. That would be kind of crazy. I feel like we left here without learning much. That's actually kind of a difficult. It's actually kind of difficult. Maybe it is hard to build the team around Luka. Maybe everyone's right. Net free throw attempts since the start of last season. Lakers plus 1,000. Knicks plus 358. Jesus. That's actually nuts. That's so fucking stupid. I'm sorry. You can't look at this and be like, oh, well, hey, hey, play better defense. I'm sorry. This big of a disparity, there's literally no way. There is literally no way. So dumb. I saw this Draymond quote.
Tracking the Rockets.
I don't give a damn about
how much are you now kind of tracking the Rockets?
I don't give a damn about the Rockets.
Now, I actually want to give him a bit of a pass here. I want to give him a bit of a pass. I think what he could have been saying or implying in this is like, oh, we have our own problems. I don't care about the Rockets. Now, knowing Draymond, is that what he actually meant? Who knows? But I think he will say that he meant that. I think that's probably what he meant. Like, yo, we need to just win games. I don't give a fuck about them. The Warriors not making the play-in tournament would be absolutely nuts. All right, what do we got tonight? Mavs, Jazz. Mavs got to come out and play. And I'm saying this. I know I said this last time. I think I said this about the Spurs. I'm not just trying to reverse jinx or anything like that. I'm being serious here. It's difficult to beat a team twice in a row. It just is. And the Mavericks were goofing and Daniel Gaffin against the Jazz a couple nights ago. They broke the franchise record with dunks in a game. I mean, they were throwing third quarter. They were throwing lobs to Luka. Like, they were fucking around almost the entire game. Let's see if the Jazz come out like a little, you know what, man? I know we've been trashed lately, but fuck them. We're not letting them do that to us again. Plus, they've also gotten blown out every single game for like the last month, it feels like. So there is that. But yeah, Chris Dunn's not going to be here. He did get suspended for his fight against Jabari Smith Jr. So no Chris Dunn, who does a decent enough job against Luka at times. Like, he's their best defender. So Hornets and Cavaliers. Cavs need this one. Don't sleep on this game. The Cavs need it. We know the Hornets last year played spoiler a little bit. Celtics, Hawks, Pistons, Knicks. Are we going to get a good game? Nets, Raptors, Wizards, Wolves, Trailblazers, Rockets, Suns, Spurs, Grizzlies, Nuggets, Sixers, Kings. Come on, Sixers. Do us one. Do us a favor here. Pacers, Clippers. This is actually an important game for both teams. Both teams coming off of a disappointing loss yesterday. Pacers against the Lakers. That's a little bit more understandable. Clippers against the Sixers at home. Clippers don't look very good, honestly, at all. They look like a mediocre basketball team. That's an important game for both teams right there. Clippers need to stop the bleeding. Clippers desperately need to stop the bleeding because they are, oh my God, they're a half a game up on the Pelicans. Wait, what's that tiebreaker situation? Could the Clippers be the 5 seed by the end of the night? If the Mavs win tonight and the Clippers lose, they will pull to within 2 games of the Clippers. Within 2 games of the Clippers. We've looked at everyone on here's schedule. Of this batch of teams, I think the Mavericks do have pretty easily the easiest schedule remaining. Of course, that doesn't necessarily mean much. One thing working in the Mavs' favor, I think, is, or maybe against them, depending on how you might want to look at it, or depending on where teams are at by the end of it. All the teams in front of the Mavericks play each other, it feels like, a decent amount between now and the end of the season, where the Mavericks just play the Kings twice, and that's it. They're done with everyone ahead of them. Right? Mavericks, after tonight's game, next game against the Kings, and then, they don't play a single team ahead of them besides the Thunder. But I'm saying, like, a team that... Oh, here we go. Next 5 games: Pelicans, Detroit, OKC, Milwaukee, Boston, Phoenix. We saw is it the Pelicans schedule? That's the most insane thing we've ever seen. We do this every fuck. We need to stop doing this. It's not good. Was it the Pelicans or the Suns? It was the Suns. The Suns had the most insane last couple of weeks I've ever seen on a schedule. Suns, San Antonio, and this was it. Like, this was genuinely their last easy game on their entire schedule. Denver, OKC, Pelicans, Cleveland, Kings, Philly, Dallas twice, Utah, Clippers, and then the Mavericks, Utah, Kings twice, Houston, Golden State. Which, you know, Houston's on a huge winning streak right now, playing for a lot. And the Golden State Warriors are also playing for a lot. So when you look at strength of schedule, this is why I don't really like that stat. It takes those teams with records, and it might throw them in the easy column, but those are important games for those teams, and they're going to be playing hard. You play Houston twice, they're playing for a lot. Golden State twice, they're playing for a lot. So, anyways, this should be interesting, man. This should be very, very interesting.